Hey guys, this is Madman Mars 2000 here with part 2 of the official return of the Monday Night Wars. And still on the TNA topic, next up they had a vacant match for the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championships because they came up with they basically had the announcers say that Hamada and Awesome Kong had to surrender the tag titles because they failed to defend the titles in the 30-day time period that a champion needs to defend his title by, so they had this match for the vacant Knockouts Championships. It was Sarita and Taylor Wilde versus the Beautiful People with Angelina Love and Madison Rayne representing the Beautiful People. And they had, and it was also Angelina Love and Tara in this match as well for the Knockouts titles. Beautiful People end up winning the Knockouts Championships, Knockouts Tag Team Championships after Daphne interferes. And I actually thought it was pretty good to see the Beautiful People as the TNA Knockouts Tag Team champions because they're a legitimate tag team. For one, they've never held the Knockouts titles, and at least it wasn't Lacey Von Erich in this match, guys, because we all know Lacey Von Erich. She can't wrestle worth crap. She is a terrible wrestler, and at least it was the good wrestling members of the Beautiful People who won this match in Madison Rayne and Velvet Sky. So I was glad to see that happen, and I've always liked Madison Rayne, Velvet Sky, and I really just wish that Angelina Love would return as the leader of the Beautiful People and kick Lacey Von Erich out of there. As me and my friends actually, we came up with this thing where we actually call her Lazy Von Erich, but anyway, I wish that Angelina Love would become the leader of the Beautiful People again and just kick Lacey out of there. That's something I'd love to see, but anyway, so Beautiful People win the TNA Knockouts titles, and I was actually happy with that just because at least Lacey didn't win it. They did another in-ring segment with Kurt Angle coming out to the ring with a huge group of the American troops, and he went on to cut a promo on Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson talking about how, he said, "Look at all these men, Mr. Anderson. You have smitten each and every one of their faces after all they have done for our country and after all they have done for people like you and I." And then he went on to say that, I may have won an Olympic gold medal in the Olympics, but that's nothing compared to what these men and women do for our country every day. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Anderson comes on the big screen. He's on the interview area backstage. He's like, "Oh, Kurt, quit whining and quit talking about your little high school dropouts out there." And then immediately after Mr. Anderson came on the big screen, Kurt Angle just bolted from the ring and left. And he pretty much went to the back. He knew exactly where Mr. Anderson was at, so he bolted for the back, and as Mr. Anderson's cutting his promo, he's attacked by Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle pretty much brought Mr. Anderson out to the ring and started to beat down on him, but Mr. Anderson got the upper hand on this at one point by striking Kurt Angle with the medallion that he stole from him, the dog tag, whatever you want to call it. He cracked Angle with it, and then Mr. Anderson went to leave the ring to get away, but the troops got in his way and they wouldn't let him leave, and they forced him back in the ring. Kurt Angle started a beat down on Mr. Anderson. And what he ended up doing was he ended up taking Mr. Anderson and throwing him out to the ring, throwing him out of the ring to the wolves, basically. So he threw him to the troops, and the troops started beating down on him, and then the troops brought him back in the ring. Then Kurt Angle tossed Mr. Anderson out to another side of the ring to let the troops that were on the other side of the ring pummel him. They brought him back in the ring. He pretty much just took Mr. Anderson and threw him out on all four sides of the ring to allow all the troops to put a beat down on him. And then this segment basically ended with Mr. Anderson. He was beat down, and then the troops took Kurt Angle and placed him on their shoulders and allowed him to, wave the American flag to end the segment. So it was a pretty good segment actually, and it really helped to build up this feud between Angle and Mr. Anderson, and allowed the troops to get their revenge on Mr. Anderson for, all the stuff that he's, done to disrespect them and all that. So I actually enjoyed this segment. It was pretty good. And then they did a bunch of stupid, ridiculous segments that I didn't like at all, with backstage segments with Hulk Hogan, with, Bubba the Love Sponge and and Brooke Hogan trying to talk Hulk Hogan out of going out there later tonight, and the Brooke Hogan backstage segment was the worst. She came back and she's pretending to cry, and she's like, "Oh, Dad, I don't want you to go out there. I mean, all our family's been through," and it's just such a stupid segment. And then it basically just led to Hulk Hogan promising Brooke Hogan that this was going to be the last time that he goes out there, that he would never go out there to wrestle again after tonight. And he assured her that Abyss has his back and stuff like that. And it was just a stupid segment. They had another one with Bubba the Love Sponge trying to convince Hogan not to go out there, and these segments just were pointless and garbage. They had a backstage segment with the Pope cutting a promo, and he was supposed to face Desmond Wolfe, but what ends up happening, Desmond Wolfe sneaks in, attacks the Pope, and just leaves him laying, and that was pretty much it for that segment. And it just wasn't. The fact that it was a good segment and all that, but the fact that this ended up canceling their match for tonight that was supposed to take place, I didn't care for that. I was pretty mad about that, because you're doing your first live, your second live edition of Impact. Why the hell would you not have the Pope wrestle? Anyway, that was pretty stupid anyway. And so the main event of the match, or the main event of the night, was Hogan and Abyss versus AJ Styles and Ric Flair. The restart of the match from the previous, or from earlier on in the night. So this was a stipulation, of course, no DQ, and it wasn't a bad match or anything, but not all that great. It was just good to see Hogan make his in-ring return, and the match ends when Hogan throws AJ Styles into Abyss, who black hole slams AJ for the win. And then after the match, Desmond Wolfe comes out, starts attacking Hogan and Abyss, and then the Pope comes out. He tries to stop it, and he ends up getting laid out by AJ. And then this leads Jeff Hardy to make his return. His music hits, and he comes out, starts cleaning house, but he ends up hitting the Twist of Fate on AJ. But just as he's going for the Swanton bomb on AJ, TNA just abruptly went off the air before we got to see Jeff Hardy hit the Swanton. So that's another thing I didn't like. So anyway, guys, this is it for part 2 of my video. Stay tuned for part 3. I'm Madman Mars 2000.